Well, hello, hello. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me.
Absolutely. We're honored to talk to you. We, of course, have loved your work for years, but now, oh my gosh, this movie is been one of our favorites of the year throughout the year. And usually we get these Oscar kind of movies and awards movies at the end of the year, but we got this one at South by Southwest in March, and
Yeah.
what a crowd pleaser it is, and so much fun. And it's kind of just stayed with us throughout the year. And you probably have been hearing this all year, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those movies that I really have never gotten tired of watching, especially with an audience, because and that can happen with movies as an editor. I've seen it, I can guarantee, more than anyone has. And but the great thing about watching this film with an audience is that people always end up happier at the end than they were when they walked in. You know, it just seems to bring everybody up, and is inspiring and makes people feel good, and it's not often that you have that as a filmmaker. And so it's just really nice to enjoy that kind of film with people.
Yeah, on a personal note, I was actually having a very bad time when it came to South by Southwest at that particular moment. And then when I stepped into the theater, it lifted me back up. And, part of that was, the audience and just hearing their laughter and their joy. And that's got to be something that you enjoy seeing with an audience because, we do see a lot of heavy movies, and this one is just
Yeah.
it's just light and it's fun and makes people feel good, right?
Yeah, I think it makes them feel good, and it also makes them feel something as well. Feel like there's emotional value as well. I mean, I think a lot of people feel like either, Dolores Jordan or Sonny Vaccaro, or, I mean, I think there's a really nice message to the film too. And I think so. I think it's nice, I think, to have been a part of a film that makes people think and feel something without, and there's a message delivered without being hit on the head with it. I think it comes through the film. It's just in the sort of DNA of it, and which is really nice because it's I think it's a much more difficult thing to have that imbued in a film, that without like saying the words. Do you know what I mean? Like, not like, here's how you're supposed to feel in this dialogue, as opposed to you just feel it because of what the characters are doing or saying. And you get the message through the characters, and it's not like you're not being hit on the head with it.
Yeah, of course. And then working with Ben Affleck again has got to be, you guys have a great working relationship. Obviously, you won Oscar together. So that just having that great rapport, and he's a whole lot funnier than I think people give him credit for. He's and even in these probably hard times, going through these scenes over and over and over again, I'm sure he brings a bit of that dry humor to the work, right?
Yeah, I mean, Ben is I mean, we've had such a fun and sort of wonderful relationship. I mean, and he's hilarious. I mean, and people, I know him really well at this point. We've been working together for 17 years, and we've spent a lot of time sitting next to each other in a dark room. And he's a hilarious person, and we have a really easy relationship in terms of there's no ego. He can say anything to me, I can say anything to him, and we're not going to hurt each other's feelings. And we take the piss out of each other all the time, and he can take it and I can take it. And so I think we've developed a shorthand together in the editing room, and it's makes it so much more fun, because certainly, well, number one, because he's so talented, but also because you don't have that barrier to get over. With a new director, it takes some time to get comfortable and to be able to read them, and for them to read you. And now with Ben, it's so easy that we can just, it's all about the work, and not about worrying about like this or that about our relationship. And so it makes the work better, and it makes it happen faster. But yeah, the stuff that he did in the film, some of it was actually, improv only on one take. Like when he comes into the boardroom and says, late on purpose, and says, I'm sorry, and I told my secretary that there was nothing more all that is improv. And he only did it once. And we almost didn't put it in the movie, and then we put it in, and the audience just loved it. And so we put a few more things in like that, and because we were just like, is this going to be funny or weird, or and it wasn't in the screenplay, so we did it, and the audience just loved it, so we kept going with it. Yeah, so he's if you knew him, he's very funny. He's a great impressionist too, and can do like everybody, including me, and which is hilarious. So he's really fun to be around because we work really hard, but we have a good time with it.
Yeah, and the editing on this has got to be really interesting too, because there are a lot of things that aren't shown, especially the, Michael Jordan, which people like saying,
Yeah.
and you've had to cut it in a certain way to where you're not. There's certain things that aren't shown, but then there's those beautiful moments where you're just seeing the recap, of his life, and
Hmm.
things that were to lay ahead, and that's got to be pretty exciting for you as the editor too, because you're doing something that's that you just know right away is special, right?
Well, I think you're referring to that boardroom scene, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was really, really. I knew that scene was going to be the hardest scene to cut in the film when I read the screenplay because the fact we don't see Michael, and we also are flashing forward, which we in time and showing what his future is, which is sort of a little bit outside the language of the rest of the film in a way, and so I knew it would be challenging. But in terms of the Michael of it was, the way Ben staged it, with having Dolores on one side and James on the other, and then Viola and Julius are actually married, and having them play a married couple, added a lot of sort of body language and, looks that only married couples give each other, which made it way more interesting. But they're such gifted actors that I was able to, I think, show Michael's reactions, but reflected in their faces. When Michael looks at them and you see Dolores look at him, and you can see what he's feeling in her eyes or his eyes. And then I was able to also use body language too. I mean, when they show him they say they run a video clip for him in the actual scene, and you see him squirming around in his chair and putting his head on his hand, because he looks bored. And then you can see that reflected in Dolores's eyes or in her facial expression. It was really fun, because you don't often get a chance to do something like that. But luckily for me, the actors are so gifted that I had the looks, or at least was able to use pieces to sort of fake the looks, to reflect how Michael was feeling. So yeah, it was a really challenging scene on that level. And then also obviously using video clips to show the future, was, like I said, I knew that was going to be the most difficult scene in the movie to cut. And we worked on it for a very long time and realized that it was originally intended that those clips were much longer, and it was Matt's dialogue was kind of like a voiceover over these video clips. And although it was quite good, I think, and fun to watch, it wasn't emotional in a way that we wanted it to be. So we realized that it just needed to be snapshots, like little bits of, because his life is so famous, you just need little pieces of it to let audiences know what we're trying to say with it. And the more we relied on Matt and his performance and his pitching Michael, the better the scene got. So it really evolved a long way over time, and I think we were working on it right up until the movie was finished. So so it was like I said, it had improv, and it had video clips, and it had no Michael. You don't see Michael's face, so it had all these different challenges. But for me, it made it really fun.
I love that. Well, a lot of people have been looking up to you for years and thinking that's what I want to do, and it's certainly not easy. There's a lot of moments in a dark room alone, like hours, and so, what kind of advice do you give to people that want to follow in your footsteps?
Well, I could tell you, I think it's patience and perseverance. In terms of like what it takes on a personal level. I mean, editing big films with a lot of footage and a lot of pressure, it just takes, and I don't think of myself as a patient person, actually, but in the editing room I am, because I know that it's a process, and a process you have to trust. Because I mean, the quote from Carol Littleton, who's a wonderful editor, is that you'll never know in week 2 what you're going to know in week 10. And so it's called a process for a reason. You learn over time, and it takes time to sort of really understand a film and really get into the weeds of it, and you can't rush it. It takes a certain amount of time. And so there's a patience of that. And then there's this sort of perseverance of never thinking it's good enough, that there's always a way to make it better. Even if it's like a minute amount, it's still better, and so if you can keep moving in that direction every day, at the end of weeks and weeks and weeks of doing it, you need to go back and look where you started. It's incredible to see how much these scenes have evolved, the film's evolved. So, I think those two things, once you're sitting in the chair, it really, really has helped me. And I learned a lot from a mentor, and Michael Kahn was my mentor, Steven Spielberg's editor. And he taught me so many things about that, about, just, freeing your mind and working on what's right in front of you and not worrying about all the different politics and the money and just looking, one cut at a time, he used to say. So I find that really helps keep me calm and also on task and being able to think creatively. So, and not let the pressure sort of drive me nuts. So that's kind of, I guess, my advice.
Yeah, no, that's wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being with us, and thank you for cutting together the most one of the most enjoyable films of the year. And I know that people will enjoy it for years to come. And thank you for everything you do, and look forward to talking to you again more soon. And we'll see you at the awards.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate you taking the time.
Yes, thank you. Bye bye.
Okay, bye.